Welcome back to the One Line Away podcast. I'm your co-host, Tyler Weber.
And this is Cassie Weber. And in today's episode, we are going to be going over words. All the words, no words, all of that in between. Whether you are someone going through infertility or has experienced loss, I think we all can agree that words are hard. Words matter. And I think that when it comes to just the whole topic of words, it's something that needs to be talked about. And I think this is where things can get or come across harsh. But when you're someone on this side of the spectrum, words are such a tool that can be really good for us or really devastating for us. So I think there's a good amount of perspective on both sides of it. And hopefully we can kind of go through that and kind of find our way through the end of the episode. How has words throughout our journey impacted us as a whole or individually? As you kind of reflect on these past 4 years, what would you say has been one of some of the most impactful and then also some of the most hurtful in regards to this whole words thing?
I'll go impactful first. The impactful ones are the ones that are saying how proud of us they are for doing something like this, how much people support us in our journey through everything that we've gone through, being there with us, not necessarily having the right thing to say, but just saying like, hey, I'm proud of you. Hey, like, I'm sorry. Those are big things. There's been multiple cases where people will come up to us and like tell us their story or what they've gone through, which is a great way to be able to connect with someone on what they're going through. Then you get the conversations that will you kind of have to filter your mind and filter your heart with what they say to you and not get worked up right away.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had episodes where we talk about people saying stuff to us and it gets very negative in our minds, but words have when you're going through something this sensitive, words have a way to be able to really knock you down and make you go back into a state of depression or into that bad state of mind. But they also have, like we've talked about, a way to be able to lift you up and keep you going and keep you attacking every day.
Words are an uncontrollable situation in many ways. I reflect on the kind of first bit of what we were going through and then the words impacting us now and how that looks different. And I think in the beginning, it was so much easier for me to kind of brush off words that might have hurt or words that might have made me muster up a feeling that I wasn't ready to feel.
You can always kind of gauge how a conversation is going to go when it gets brought up. Like, say it's an interaction that you've had where you've never really talked about what we've gone through. You can always tell if there's a little bit of hesitation on their end that they're trying to filter words.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's always the times where they just say 4,000 words a minute and you're like, oh, what just happened? But like, I've had multiple interactions where there's a little bit of hesitation on their end because they don't know exactly how to word something or how to ask the question or how to go about it. But like, they're trying and they're like, maybe they don't have like that perfect sentence to say, but what comes out is just like, it's either supporting or they're trying to understand and grasp everything that we're going through.
Yeah. Choice of words matter. And though sometimes there are people out there that are oblivious to this journey that we're in, I don't think that that's a good enough excuse. I think how people approach speaking to you when they do it and lead with their heart and lead with care, I think there's more of a productive conversation that can happen. When it's on the other side where maybe someone doesn't necessarily relate, but they're maybe in our life and they feel like they are maybe forced to try to have a conversation because they feel like, oh, I better say something, or I better just ask because, I've been kind of told that I need to be doing that. You can see it really clear. It's something that you can pick up like nothing. And that's when we kind of move into sometimes saying nothing's really good. And then there's a conversation to be had about the effect of there being lack of words.
Yeah, or saying nothing at all.
Yeah.
I think saying nothing at all it's good for a period of time. I say that loosely.
Yeah. It's the walking on eggshells.
It's the walking on. I mean, there's eggshells, and then there's you not even walking.
Yeah.
And I feel like that happens so much.
I think it's the easier route for people on the outside. Sometimes it's awkward or unapproachable or uncomfortable, or maybe there's just not enough confidence to talk about it. And it's hard when you can meet in the middle with that until a point. And as a couple going through infertility and many, many losses, obviously that means that time has gone by. And it's no secret of one, our desire, and two, what we've been through at any extent. It's the people in your life that you expect at the least that have had no words. There's just been this continuation of ignorance going by the way of life. And it does seem that as time goes on longer with that state, the worse it gets. And that's when communication is so important and crucial for any type of relationship, is when you begin that unhealthy distance where we aren't saying anything, they aren't saying anything, words just aren't said. Other things fall apart within that. And sometimes it's too far gone. And I think that it's really important as a listener who might be going through this, that there's a point where you can only say so much or want so much or say so much, that getting that and receiving that back is up to that person as well. And I think what we have learned and what we continue to be reminded of is we can't make someone care enough to want to talk to us about it. We can't force anyone to listen to this podcast and help that create conversation or a comfortable environment to kind of walk in that door. And I'm sure if you're listening to this and you're in this side of things, you so badly want that. And it's the people that surprise you the most that don't give you that. And that's when words become such a prevalent part in this walk.
We can go from the other side too. And if you're that person that maybe hasn't reached out,
Mm-hmm.
this is your sign to reach out.
Definitely.
Not just to us, but if you're
Yeah.
listening for someone that, hey, like maybe this is, if someone sent you this, a family member or a friend has sent you this podcast and you're like, what the heck am I listening to? Like, what is playing over my speakers in my car? Like, this is your sign. Like, maybe just send that text,
Mm-hmm.
Start that conversation. They want you to. And it's not necessarily saying like, you guys need to have a 4-hour conversation and you need to hash it out. It's just saying a simple line of, I'm here for you,
Mm-hmm.
or I support you. I'm sorry what you're going through, but
Oh,
I'm here
or
for you.
yeah, or I hope what you're doing is healing you in ways that you haven't seen before. You
Exactly.
know,
I'm proud
I
of you.
yes, I think that as much as we can talk about words in this episode, I would love to be able to help people that are listening to this, give them guidance on how they approach using words in and reaching out to someone who's going through it, or maybe being able to navigate time in between of talking about it where it's gotten maybe a little bit more conflictive. I think that I truly believe that this isn't just for Tyler and I. I think when there is a couple going through infertility, there is a loneliness that sets in. And yes, there's times where you don't want to talk about it, or you don't feel comfortable or ready to discuss certain things. I do think that there is a general way of care with words that can impact someone so positively that's walking this journey. It's just so simple, and it doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be where you are just as educated as the person on the other end. It's simple out of your heart love. Coming from the heart, leading with your love for that couple or that person who's experiencing this. You don't have to know it all. You don't have to try to make excuses for what we're going through. I do just think that no words get to a point where that relationship suffers. And just as much as what words are used matters, it's the same on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you try to meet in the middle with this, I think we have to almost dumb it down, bring it back to basics, and keep it with what it is. If someone's going through anything, it's just the easiest way you can go about it is just to let someone know you love them, you care for them, you're here for them, let them know how you can support them. That's a great start. It's such an impactful way to start. And it shows one that that person or that couple hasn't been forgotten or hasn't been left in the dust.
Yeah, you don't have to text them the answer.
Yeah.
You just have to text them that you're here.
Yep.
And I think that got lost somewhere.
Yep.
Not just in our journey, but in journeys.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was even having a conversation with someone the other day, and they said, "Man, like infertility is kind of the new norm. It is so sad." And I was like, "Yeah, it kind
Mm-hmm.
of is." And like, there's not a lot of conversation about it. There's like the shame with it, and that's what makes me sick. But there needs to be the more conversations with it.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be like, you could go into the why is this the norm, but you could also just go in like, let's support each other,
Definitely.
and like, let's create a community, which there already is a huge community for this.
Yeah.
But it's like,
But we're
hey,
all hurting in the same way.
we're all hurting the exact same way.
You
We all know
know,
exactly how each other feel.
it's like I think that's the hardest part about this community is we are all in the same realm, at least if it's not, maybe it's not at the same time, but at some point we all have had a certain emotion or certain situation happen, and it's the devastation of the other side. It's always about the other side and the things that affect the other side of the people in your life, the things in your life, the effects and always in your life. There's always that barrier in between. That infertility barrier is something that you can't ignore. When that couple or that person has a desire in their heart and they're doing whatever they can to get that or see that through, that barrier is immediately up. And it's just as much as our responsibility to do our best to be the versions of ourselves that are,
And supportive for them.
yes, as much as on the other side
That you don't always get.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
It's just annoying. There comes a time when you want to look in that camera and just throw this microphone because it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
Just comments get made and you're just like, what?
Yeah, and I think like we could go into it all day long about the words that have like specific words that have been said or conversations or lines that have been said. Like that's not the point here. The point is we're here to sit down and talk about words. They matter. They have effects. They have positive effects. They have negative effects. How do we one support each other that are on this side of the barrier that we've talked about? And then how do we also bring a light to those who are trying to find a way to support someone going through this? How do they deal with the words thing? I feel like that's the $1,000,000 question on the other side is how the heck do I support this person, or what do I say, or how much do I say?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the takeaway is no words can sometimes speak louder than words in a very negative way. The words that you say do matter. And approaching a couple with your heart is a great start. Some of the most impactful memories or experiences throughout this walk that we've been on have been words. And I really wanted to shine some light on the beauty that words can be used to heal a relationship or impact a couple going through it. There's definitely different sectors into this, but if I go with just recent, 4 years in, recent conversations, just today I have been able to have a conversation, a safe conversation with someone who has been struggling with getting pregnant. And just as much as words on the outside matter, I feel like I am so proud to be able to try my best to heal the things that have been broken in other people's lives by using words that I feel in my heart are received the best with someone else holding my hand right with me through this. And it's more than ever with the podcast, I'm having these safer conversations. I'm getting to go into deeper levels or deeper connection with people that were already so we already care so much about in our lives. And I know for you, Tyler, I know especially with this podcast, there has been amazing movement with words and in positive ways. And I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
There's been a lot of people like reaching out and saying stuff that have helped relationships, but there's also been a lot of things. You were just talking there, I had to write something down because I was like, I want to make sure I say this. It's good to heal relationships, but it's also helped me like wake up and find light within this. Find light. Like there was a lot of moments, especially last year, where I would wake up and just be like, "It sucks. Like I hate this every single day." But then there's moments where, like, I had coffee with someone the other day, and they said, "Like I'm so proud of you," and like just hearing that, I'm just like, "Wow!" Like it brings a little bit of life back into me through something that has just sucked the life out of me.
Yeah.
It has, I've had multiple things like that where they're just like, I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you guys. And just hearing that is just like,
So impactful.
wow, like we're doing something like kind of selfishly at first. It was like the idea that I came up with was for me. Like
Yeah.
it's very true though. Like I came up with this idea because it's like I want to talk about it to feel better.
Yeah.
But then in turn, I realized like I had that realization of like, wow, this is the norm. Infertility is the new norm, which sucks. And it's like, let's help people. Yeah, I mean, back to the relationships thing and people reaching out and just saying like, hey, I'm proud of you, or friends of ours that are from out of the state that reach out and just say, "Hey, I'm checking in on you guys.
Yeah.
Checking in on you guys." Like that's so awesome, and it's so cool to be able to just to know like what was a selfish idea has turned into helping me, helping you,
Hoping.
helping people like say thank you for I didn't know how to interact with someone that
Yeah.
is going through this. Like I've listened to your podcast and it's helped me.
Yeah.
Or being able to just help other people, like all the messages we get and they say like this is exactly what I needed.
Or I found you
We
at
we
a
found
dark
you.
time in my life that I needed somewhere to
Yeah.
bounce these thought processes
Yeah,
to.
it's like whether or not we always
Yeah.
talk about it. We're like, man, maybe we shouldn't have an hour-long episode every single week. And
Right.
it's like sometimes I wish we could, I mean, we probably could,
Right.
but we feel like when we come out with the 20-minute episodes, we're like, okay, maybe it's good to just get a little one out there.
Well, and I think with people, from what we've kind of seen so far, is the long ones have been like the longer episodes. They reach people that are really in the trenches and really needing this, and then the short ones have felt like they've been more receptive to more than just the ones in the trenches with us. Like it feels like they're more approachable to listen to, where it's not like, oh my gosh, we're gonna be listening to an hour worth of the
I might need a
heaviest
tissue.
yeah and
every 10 minutes.
yeah, and so I think this whole words thing, I also take into account that I hope, and I really try my best, that when when people talk to me in the flesh, when messages happen, I am so careful and so raw with how I approach a conversation or approach a response. It's not a rehearsed response where it's like, thanks for listening, have a great day. It's like I am receiving and Tyler is receiving communications that are so private and sensitive, and I know in my heart that those maybe same messages had been sent or communicated to someone who didn't know how to safely or productively respond to that. And so I just hope that Tyler and I are able to, one at a time, even if it's just one at a time, bring back that life or that comfort or that safety or that validation that we all have needed or continue to need.
With that being said, on how it has helped me so much and helped us so much with this being therapy, if you have any desire or you feel like maybe this is what I need to be able to talk about it, and you need someone to like think about it or talk about it with, or you just want to have like a conversation with one of us or anything like that, reach out. We are okay with having a full-on conversation with you and your partner and just having a conversation about anything that you're going through. If you have questions or anything like that, we want to be an outlet for you. And I know we've kind of said that, but we've never right up front just said, hey, like, reach out to us. We will have a Zoom call. We'll have a FaceTime call. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
If you think
we'll go for coffee.
Yeah. If you're local, like we could go for coffee or whatever it is. If you just feel like, man, maybe that's what I need. Maybe I've been in the trenches for a little bit and I just need to like go talk to someone about it for 3 hours. Cause I mean, we've had how many episodes now, and every time that it gets brought up at a coffee or somewhere, I could still talk about it for 3 hours.
Yeah. The sun is setting, and I think we're at a really good stopping point on our wordy words episode. So until next week, hopefully that one message comes through or those two messages come through. We're ready for you guys in any form. We're holding your hand. We are in your corner through this. So until our next episode, thanks for watching and thanks for listening.